Well, let's start off with the good. I was going to focus on one team, and then I was like, someone's going to get annoyed with this. So let me just say this. As we hit the best part of the year in this town weather-wise, we also have some incredible football that's being played. Not just the Chiefs at 6-1. Did you see what Kansas State did in a Big 12 championship game rematch on Saturday night? Demolishing TCU 41-3. My goodness. I love that dual threat quarterback option of Avery Johnson and Will Howard. That thing is looking pretty. I'll tell you that right now. And then not to be left out here, Mizzou gets another win. Mizzou is now 3-1 in SEC play. They dominate South Carolina. They got a bye week before going to Georgia here in a couple of weeks. So, boy, that's it. By the way, that's a good weekend of football around this town. 2 weeks from now, here's what you're going to have. You are going to have, of course, the Chiefs and the Dolphins on Sunday morning, NFL Network. You're going to have Mizzou at Georgia, number one team in the country. And then you're also going to have Kansas State taking on Texas that same day. And then, let's see, Kansas is playing at Iowa State. That's a great weekend of local football. So, that is the first weekend in November. Boy, that's a treat. Mark's already got some parlays he's thinking about in his own head, trying to weave together college and NFL games.
Anytime touchdown parlay coming up that weekend.
Yep. Brady Cook tossing 4 TDs against Georgia. That's going to jack up your odds on that one.
That'll be a good one. Devin Neal, anytime touchdown. Avery Johnson, anytime touchdown. Got it.
Throwing a Justin Ross anytime touchdown. That's going to be $5 to win, $10,000. That's what that's going to be. So anyway, we are blessed right now with great football happening around the Kansas City region. I'll tell you that. It is just outstanding what we got going on. Kansas, of course, didn't play this past week, and that's the good. Just celebrating this time of year. The bad are the border crossing numbers. So for the first time ever, Venezuela has topped Mexico in U.S. illegal border crossings, first time on record in September. According to its latest monthly report released on Saturday, U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded 218,763 encounters of people from all nationalities between ports of entry along the southwest border. Put that in perspective. That's 3 arrowheads. Think about that. When they do the visuals of Arrowhead Stadium from the top, from the blimp yesterday, which they did a lot of, which I love those shots. 3 arrowheads in 1 month. And that's only the people that they stopped at the border. That doesn't count the people they missed. That's a 21% increase from the 181,000 illegal immigrants caught in August. Venezuelans arrested 54,000 times by Border Patrol after entering from Mexico in September, more than double the 22,000 in August. For decades, writes Fox News, Mexicans accounted for the vast majority of illegal crossings, but flows shifted over the last decade to Central America, and most recently, South America, Africa, and Asia. Goes on to note here, CBP reported 53,000 encounters involving Mexican nationals along the southwest border, down from 55,000 in August. So what's interesting is the number of Mexicans looking to illegally cross is down, but other countries are up. And here's the most concerning number, because now this is not just like single Mexican men looking to come into the country, make some money, go home, send the money back home. That's not what we're dealing with right now, right? This is way different and more complex than the border issues of 20 years ago. There were 4,000 encounters of Chinese nationals along the southern border in September, compared with 2,300 back in August. That's nearly a 100% increase of Chinese nationals. In September of last year, there were only 400 encounters involving Chinese nationals. It is now 10 times that number. I've often believed that the majority of people trying to come to America illegally are doing it for the right reasons. They're obviously doing it the wrong way, but they're doing it for the right reasons because they have no choices, they have no hope. They're trying to get out of whatever conditions they're in. But obviously, this is no way to do it. This is no way to run a country, especially now with the world on high alert. As global terrorism is now back in the conversation. And for the last 3 years, we have basically just had open border policies. There are millions of people now in this country, and the government's got no idea who they are. But don't worry, if you were a grandma 3 miles away from the Capitol on January 6, 2021, they know damn well who you are. But the other, multi-million people just rolling through, maybe they'll figure it out, maybe they won't. I mean, that is going to come home at some point to bite us in the butt. I don't think there's any doubt about it, sad to say. So that's the bad from the weekend. The ugly, some of you might have reversed these two, but I'm not doing it. The ugly from the weekend. You want to get 3 hours away from the craziness of life, the news cycle, everything else, and sit down and watch a Chiefs game yesterday, right? What does CBS decide to do in one of the most boneheaded, dumbest broadcasting moves of all time? They think that America is dying to see the end of a mediocre Browns-Colts game and put these games side by side and put the audio of the game on the Browns-Colts. As Kansas City is trying to sit here and just watch a Chiefs-Chargers game, set aside 3 hours a day for a little reprieve, and we can't even do that because the boneheaded, board ops at CBS in New York City are like, yeah, let's run the end of the Colts-Browns game. And the only people that cared about that were people in Cleveland, Indianapolis, or degenerate sports bettors. That's it. And the other thing I was thinking about as I'm watching this yesterday, yelling at the television, at the very least, if they want to do side-by-side for those two games, why would you do it in Kansas City and, let's say, Los Angeles? Right? Like, we put a man on the moon 50 years ago, and CBS cannot figure out how to, at least in Kansas City, just give Kansas City residents only the Chiefs game. As if somehow Kansas City wanted to watch the end of the Browns-Colts. And then to make matters worse, after the Browns score the go-ahead touchdown, they leave it on that game till like the end, which just made no sense whatsoever. And I'm not knocking KCTV5. This is not a local decision. This was out of New York City. This is not a local decision. This is not our TV partners. This is from the people in charge in New York, who are not nearly as bright as they think they are.
I think the least efficient of all the networks, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, for many reasons. There you go. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend.